Part 1. The Call from the Void. The Cosmic Abyss. Close your eyes and imagine yourself suspended in the eternal, silent dark of the cosmos. Around you, there is nothing but the profound stillness of the vacuum, punctuated only by distant stars flickering like scattered diamond dust upon a tapestry of black, celestial velvet. But as you drift, you begin to notice a subtle, unsettling transformation in the scenery. Ahead, a patch of the sky seems wrong. It is an ink-black void, a shadow more absolute than the darkness of space itself, and it is beginning to warp and twist the light of the galaxies behind it, as if you are looking through a distorted glass lens. You are no longer alone in the vacuum. You are approaching a black hole, the most enigmatic and terrifying titan in the known universe. Not a hole, but a trap. To understand what is about to happen, we must dispel a common myth. A black hole is not a hole in the traditional sense. It is not an empty pit. Rather, it is a region of space-time where gravity has become so intense, so overwhelmingly powerful, that nothing, not even light, traveling at its universal speed limit of nearly 300,000 km/s, can muster the velocity to escape its clutches. This boundary of no return is defined by the Schwarzschild radius. Once you cross this mathematical line, the laws of the universe as you know them effectively cease to function. The question is no longer, what is it? But rather, what will happen to you? A creature of flesh, bone, and fragile consciousness, when you dare to enter its inner sanctum. The birth of a monster. Before we commit to this one-way journey, we must understand the nature of our silent adversary. A black hole is born from the violent, spectacular death of a massive star. For millions of years, a star maintains a delicate balance between the outward pressure of nuclear fusion and the inward pull of its own gravity. But when that nuclear fuel is exhausted, the balance is shattered. The star's core collapses under its own gargantuan weight in a fraction of a second, crushing a mass dozens of times greater than our sun into a space so infinitesimal it defies imagination. The result is a tear in the very fabric of the universe, a point of infinite density. Your final itinerary. Our descent today will be divided into 3 harrowing stages. The approach, where you witness the celestial fireworks of the accretion disk. The event horizon, the invisible threshold of eternity. And finally, the singularity, the center of the abyss where time and space dissolve. Please check your instruments and steady your breath. You might want to fasten your seatbelt, though. In truth, there is no restraint in the universe strong enough to save you now. Welcome to the point of no return. Part 2. The Death Disk. The blinding irony. As you venture within a few million kilometers of the black hole, you encounter a terrifying irony. For an object named for its absolute darkness, the first thing that greets you is not a void, but a light so brilliant and fierce it could blind 1,000 suns. You have reached the accretion disk. This is the black hole's dining table, a chaotic, swirling maelstrom of gas, dust, and the shattered remains of stars that strayed too close. Imagine a celestial whirlpool where matter is accelerated to nearly the speed of light. As these particles orbit the abyss, they collide and rub against one another with unimaginable friction, heating the disk to temperatures of millions of degrees. In this inferno, the black hole reveals itself as a messy eater. If you were an unprotected observer, you wouldn't die from being sucked in initially. Instead, you would be vaporized instantly by a lethal storm of high-energy gamma rays and X-rays long before you ever touched the shadow's edge. A funhouse mirror of space-time. However, let us assume for a moment that you possess a suit of miracle armor, an indestructible shield capable of withstanding extreme radiation and heat. As you push deeper into this luminous furnace, the very geometry of the universe begins to betray your senses. You are now witnessing gravitational lensing on a cosmic scale. The black hole's mass is so concentrated that it acts like a gargantuan magnifying glass, warping the path of light rays from distant galaxies. You might look straight ahead and see stars that are actually located directly behind the black hole, distorted into glowing halos known as Einstein rings. The space around you no longer obeys the rules of perspective. It looks like a colossal, curved funhouse mirror where up is down and the horizon itself seems to wrap around your head. The descent into pasta. As the visual distortions peak, you begin to feel a physical sensation that no human has ever endured: the onset of tidal forces. On Earth, the moon's gentle gravitational tug creates the rhythmic rise and fall of our oceans. But near a black hole, gravity isn't a gentle tug, it's a localized monster. Because gravity weakens with distance, if you fall feet first, the pull on your toes will be significantly stronger than the pull on your head. This difference, this gradient, grows exponentially as you descend. Your body, once a solid form, begins to stretch. The molecules of your boots are pulled away from your feet. Your joints begin to lengthen. Physicists have a whimsically terrifying name for this process: spaghettification. In a matter of seconds, the immense gravitational gradient would stretch your entire being into a thin, mile-long string of disconnected atoms. You would become a stream of subatomic pasta, descending silently into the dark. Part 3. Lurking at the event horizon, the mathematical threshold. We now arrive at the most infamous boundary in all of science, a place where the map of the known universe simply ends: the event horizon. To the naked eye, it isn't a physical surface like the crust of a planet. It is a mathematical sphere, an invisible threshold that separates the here from the nevermore. In physics, every object has an escape velocity, the speed required to break free from its gravitational grip. On Earth, that speed is about 11 kilometers per second. But as you descend toward the black hole, the escape velocity climbs higher and higher until it hits the ultimate ceiling of the universe: 209,792 kilometers per second. Once you cross the event horizon, the speed required to return to your family, to your home, or even to send a single radio signal back to Earth becomes greater than the speed of light. Since the laws of physics forbid anything from moving faster than light, this boundary becomes a one-way door to eternity. The frozen ghost, an external perspective. This is where reality splits into two conflicting stories, thanks to the mind-bending brilliance of Albert Einstein's general relativity. Imagine you have a companion, a friend who has remained safely aboard your mothership at a distance. As they watch you drift toward the event horizon, they would witness a scene of profound, haunting beauty and horror. Because gravity warps the fabric of time itself, an effect known as gravitational time dilation occurs. To your friend, your clock appears to tick slower and slower. As you reach the very edge of the shadow, you would seem to decelerate into a crawl. You would appear to freeze in place, hovering just above the abyss like a ghost trapped in amber. Simultaneously, you would begin to change color. The light reflecting off your suit is being stretched to its breaking point by the black hole's gravity. This is gravitational redshift. Your image would shift from its natural colors to a deep blood red, then into the infrared, becoming fainter and fainter until you simply fade into invisibility. To the outside world, you never actually fall in. You just become a frozen, reddened memory that eventually vanishes into the void. The final fast forward, your perspective. But for you, the traveler, the experience is radically, terrifyingly different. You feel no thump as you cross the event horizon. There is no signpost saying, "Abandon hope." You are simply falling, accelerated by a force that makes a hurricane feel like a summer breeze. As you plummet deeper, you might be tempted to look back over your shoulder, and what you see would be the most spectacular sight in the history of consciousness. Because your time is now moving so much slower than the rest of the universe, the cosmos outside appears to be in a frantic, hyper-speed, fast-forward mode. The light from the entire universe behind you is compressed into a small, brilliant circle, a window back to the reality you once knew. Through this window, you see the stars above you spinning wildly. You watch as neighboring galaxies collide and merge. You witness the birth and death of entire solar systems in the blink of an eye. In these final moments of your life, you are a time traveler, watching the ultimate fate and the eventual heat death of the universe unfold before you are swallowed by the dark center. You are seeing the end of time itself while you fall toward your own. Part 4. The Territory of Broken Laws, the Great Cosmic Role Reversal. Congratulations, or perhaps my sincerest condolences, you have officially crossed the threshold. You are now inside the black hole. At this moment, you would expect the world to look different, but the most profound change isn't what you see. It is how the universe itself is structured. Here, in the belly of the beast, space and time perform a terrifying cosmic dance. They switch roles. In the outside world, you possess freedom of movement in space. You can choose to walk forward, step back, or turn left and right. However, you have no such freedom in time. You are a prisoner of the clock, forced to move toward the future at a rate of 1 second per second, whether you like it or not. But inside the event horizon, the radial direction, the path leading toward the center, becomes time-like. The center of the black hole is no longer a location you can choose to visit. It is a moment in your future that you cannot avoid. Trying to swim away from the center of a black hole is as mathematically impossible as trying to turn around and walk back into yesterday. Every move you make, every burst of your thrusters, only serves to bring you closer to your final destination, the Singularity, the War of the Titans. As you plummet toward that central point, you are heading straight into the greatest crime scene in physics. We call this the Singularity. According to Albert Einstein's general relativity, the Singularity is a point of infinite density and zero volume. It is the place where the math simply breaks, where we get a division by zero error in the code of the universe. However, this is where the two pillars of modern science, general relativity, the physics of the massive, and quantum mechanics, the physics of the subatomic, go to war. Relativity says you can be crushed into a point of zero size. Quantum mechanics screams no. It insists that nothing can be smaller than a specific tiny limit called the Planck length. At the Singularity, these two theories clash violently, and because they cannot both be right, we are left staring into a void of ignorance. We simply do not have the theory of everything required to explain what happens to your physical form at this ultimate dead end. The ghost in the machine. The holographic principle. So what becomes of you? One theory suggests you are simply dismantled, your atoms ripped apart into a soup of elementary particles. But a more mind-bending possibility arises from the black hole information paradox. Some physicists, like Leonard Susskind, suggest the holographic principle. This theory proposes that everything that falls into a black hole, including the complex information that makes you you, is never actually destroyed. Instead, as you cross the horizon, a copy of your quantum information is smeared and stored across the 2D surface of the event horizon itself. It is similar to a 3D hologram on a credit card. Though the card is flat, it contains all the data needed to represent a three-dimensional image. If this is true, your physical body might be crushed at the singularity, but your data, your cosmic signature, is permanently archived on the outer shell of the black hole. You aren't just a victim of gravity. You are converted into a new format of existence. You have transitioned from a biological entity into a permanent piece of the universe's hard drive. Part 5. Gateways to Other Worlds. The escape from annihilation. Let us take a breath and set aside the grim imagery of being crushed into subatomic dust. In the realm of theoretical physics, the end of a journey is often just the beginning of a new one. What if the black hole isn't a dead-end street, but a cosmic detour? While the most basic models of black holes suggest total destruction at the singularity, the mathematics of the universe allows for a far more exotic possibility. Many physicists, most notably Albert Einstein and Nathan Rosen, proposed that the intense curvature of space-time might not lead to a point of no return, but rather to a bridge. This is the Einstein-Rosen bridge, more popularly known as a wormhole. According to this theory, a black hole could serve as the entrance to a trans-dimensional tunnel. If you were falling into a specific type of black hole, a rotating one known as a Kerr black hole, the centrifugal force of its spin might prevent the singularity from being a point. Instead, the singularity would become a ring, allowing a daring traveler to pass through the center without being crushed, potentially emerging in a completely different region of space, or even an entirely different era of time. The fountain of light. White holes. If the black hole is the entrance to this cosmic subway system, where is the exit? This brings us to one of the most fascinating hypothetical objects in astronomy, the white hole. Mathematically, a white hole is the perfect time reversal of a black hole. While a black hole has an event horizon that nothing can escape, a white hole possesses an anti-event horizon that nothing can enter. It is a fountain that spews matter, energy, and information into the universe with reckless abandon. Some scientists suggest that black holes and white holes are connected at either end of a wormhole. In this scenario, all the matter swallowed by a black hole in one universe is born out of a white hole in another. In fact, some bold cosmologists have suggested that our own Big Bang, the sudden, violent expansion of our universe 13.8 billion years ago, was actually the output of a white hole connected to a black hole in a parent universe. If this is true, our entire reality began as the debris of a star collapsing in another dimension. The cosmic womb and nesting dolls. This leads to a breathtaking conclusion. Black holes might not be the graveyards of the universe, but rather its wombs. If you fell into a black hole and survived the transit, you might emerge into a reality where the fundamental constants of nature are dialed differently. In this new world, gravity might be a repulsive force, or time might move in a circular loop rather than a straight line. This concept is often called the nesting doll universe theory. Imagine the universe as a series of Russian matryoshka dolls. Each black hole in our universe contains a new baby universe inside it. In turn, Our own sprawling cosmos might just be the interior of a gargantuan black hole located in a much larger super-universe. This theory changes our perspective on the abyss entirely. Instead of a terrifying predator, the black hole becomes a vital link in a universal cycle of creation, a mechanism for the cosmos to reproduce and evolve. As you fall toward the center, you aren't just approaching your end. You are participating in the birth of a new reality. You are the messenger carrying the information of our world into the next. Part 6. Galactic Nomads and Monsters. The diverse census of the abyss. To truly grasp the magnitude of the journey you've just taken in your mind, we must look at the real residents of the abyss that astronomers have actually cataloged in our universe. Not all black holes are created equal. They come in a staggering variety of sizes, from tiny, compact remnants to gargantuan behemoths that anchor the very structure of galaxies. The tiny terror. The unicorn. Consider the black hole nicknamed the Unicorn, located a mere 1,500 light-years away in the constellation Monoceros. It is one of the smallest ever discovered, containing only about 3 times the mass of our Sun. You might think a smaller black hole is less dangerous, but in the twisted world of gravity, the opposite is true for the traveler. Because the Unicorn is so compact, its gravitational gradient is incredibly steep. If you were to fall toward it, the difference in pull between your feet and your head would become lethal long before you even reached the event horizon. You would be spaghettified, stretched into a stream of subatomic particles, while still in the safety of open space. The gentle giants, Sagittarius A and Ton 618. On the other end of the spectrum lie the supermassive black holes. At the heart of our own Milky Way sits Sagittarius A, a 4 million solar mass giant. But even that is a dwarf compared to the ultimate king of the dark, Ton 618. This monster possesses the mass of 40 billion suns. Falling into Ton 618 would offer a strangely gentler experience. Because its event horizon is so vast, billions of kilometers across, the tidal forces at the Ran-Gyoi boundary are surprisingly weak. You could drift across the threshold of Ton 618 and not feel a thing. There would be no immediate stretching or pain. In fact, you could survive for hours or perhaps even days inside the black hole's interior, exploring the dark expanse of a captive universe before finally approaching the singularity. It is a haunting thought. You could be trapped in an eternal prison and not even realize you've been captured yet. The ghosts in the dark. Rogue black holes. Perhaps most unsettling are the recently discovered rogue black holes. Unlike most black holes we study, these nomads have no companion stars to feed on and no glowing accretion disks to announce their presence. They are invisible ghosts, wandering through the dark voids of the Milky Way at speeds exceeding several million kilometers per hour. We only know they exist because of gravitational microlensing, the way their immense gravity momentarily warps and magnifies the light of a distant star as they pass in front of it. In 2022, astronomers confirmed the first isolated stellar mass black hole drifting about 5,000 light-years away. These silent predators are a chilling reminder that the cosmos is filled with invisible dangers, ancient remnants of dead stars prowling the galaxy in total silence. Part 7. The Immortality of Intellect. The Mirror of the Abyss. Our journey today has taken us through the most extreme environments imaginable, from the searing million-degree brilliance of accretion disks to the bizarre bending of time at the event horizon, and finally into the heart of the singularity, where the very laws of physics dissolve into mystery. Ultimately, The quest to understand what happens after you cross a black hole is not merely a problem for mathematicians or physicists to solve. It is a profound lesson in cosmic humility. Standing before the majesty of a black hole, every human concept of power, time, and matter is rendered insignificant. Yet, there is a beautiful paradox here. We are fragile biological beings, living on a tiny pale blue dot called Earth. Yet we have used our mathematics and our imagination to see into the hearts of monsters located billions of light years away. That we can even conceive of such things is perhaps the greatest miracle of all. The death of eternity. As we have learned, even these eternal predators are not truly immortal. As the legendary Stephen Hawking famously theorized, black holes are not as black as we once thought. Through a process called Hawking radiation, quantum fluctuations at the edge of the horizon cause black holes to slowly leak energy back into space. Over trillions upon trillions of years, long after the last stars in the universe have gone dark, black holes will slowly evaporate and vanish. Everything in the universe, it seems, has a beginning and an end. A promise of safety. Before we conclude this voyage, let us return to the safety of our own home. There is a common fear that our sun might one day collapse into a black hole and swallow the Earth, but science offers us a firm reassurance. Our sun simply does not have enough mass to undergo such a transformation. In about 5 billion years, our star will end its life not as a black hole, but by expanding into a majestic red giant before eventually shrinking into a quiet, glowing white dwarf. The Earth remains safe from the abyss for the foreseeable future. However, the universe remains vast, filled with rogue wanderers and ancient secrets still waiting to be uncovered. Conclusion: the thrill of the unknown. The black hole stands at the edge of our knowledge, acting as a lens that reflects the ultimate limits of human understanding. It reminds us that the universe is not only stranger than we imagine, but as the scientist J.B.S. Haldane once suggested, it is stranger than we can imagine. Thank you for joining us on this odyssey into the void. As you go about your day, remember to occasionally look up at the stars. Every flicker of light you see is a reminder that we live in a reality of infinite possibilities, where every dark corner of the cosmos might just be a gateway to something extraordinary.